Welcome to another episode of the Renault Master Camper Conversion. In this episode, I'm going to be building a bench here behind the passenger seat, and I want to incorporate a pull-out bed in the design. Before I get started, I've just cleaned this area because once this back panel goes in, it's going to be hard to reach this. I'm going to start by making a piece of timber to screw down to the top of this upstand, and the reason being is this pillar sticks out further than the upstand, and so does the bulkhead. You can see there how it kicks out. By doing that, I'll create a flat surface to screw my ply to. My ply will be coming up to about the middle of the video. There's a black mark next to the bottom bracket of the handle. That's because this chair leans back, and that's where the ply will stop. So I've done this piece of timber. I've also used the original bolt holes to screw it on. The original bolts wouldn't fit because obviously the bulkhead was 1mm, 1.5mm thick or something like that. And this is 36mm, so just count the sunken in there about 20mm, and got some longer bolts, and then I put some thermal lining underneath on that metal bit that was there. So that's that panel done. So this is what I mean by the seats kicking out. It comes past this wall, so that's as far as I can go with this, which is high enough anyway. Might be possible to actually use these headrests as the chair as well, so that would be handy. So what I've done here as well was I took this trim off, this rubber trim, and I measured from there to this white bit there, pretty much. There's a bit of obviously a bow in the wall, so measured the bottom, middle there, made sure there was like a 5mm gap left, and then I can just push that trim back over to hide the transition. What I'm going to do here as well is I've sort of cut it around here. I've cut a slot in there so it slots in at the moment, but I'm just going to do a curved corner on here just to soften this here and make it blend into here a little better. I have a trim to go in here, this same sort of knock-on trim for these ones. This is actually this. I had enough left over, so that was handy. So that will be running around here once this is done. There's going to be a plate going in here, which is going to have a cigarette lighter in there. There's a cable there. Should have done this the other day. I'd done it after I'd done this. But this was easy, just a couple of screws come out, and then that drops out. So I thought I'd just do that, get that in place ready, because the TV will be hanging on here. This is all unrelated to this job that I'm doing now, but just thought I'd talk you through what's going on. So I'm just waiting for my extruded aluminium to build this frame, and I've decided that I'm going to carpet this board here, because you can see it on the back, and then this will be the back of the bench, and it's black here. So I'm going to get black carpet, so I'm going to go and order some now that I know what size it needs to be, and then we'll just be waiting for stuff to come to get this all done. I'm not going to screw it yet, because once it's carpeted, what you can do is you can cut the carpet, open it, drill the hole, screw, and then glue the carpet back over. So you've got hidden screws then. That's probably what I'm going to do on here. Along the bottom, that timber I put on, I'll probably just screw straight for the top with some little clips or something like that, so you can see it. If you do need to remove it, the ones up there, I might possibly do the same there as well. So this, you'd have to remove the whole bench and everything like that, but like I say, I do try and make stuff removable, so that if you do need to get in there, you can. Just got to do the finishing touches to this panel before I carpet it. I've put a bit of a curve on the side just to soften the edge, and then I've cut it with a jigsaw first, and I've put this back on, use a bearing guided router to get a nice flush finish. I already had this piece laying around for something else, so. And then I'll just put these lines on here, so the carpet's going to end here, and then I'll carpet the whole lot. I won't carpet here, and then I'll just cut it off after. I'm going to get that done, remove this, get this line transferred all the way up. I think it's already done, to be honest, and then I'll just mark it on the ends so I know where to put the rule after I've stuck the carpet on. So I'm ready to get the carpet done. I've cut the carpet to the right size roughly. I've laid this ruler on there, which is quite heavy, so it's in position. And then I'll put some cardboard on there so that any overspray doesn't go onto the carpet. What I'm going to do now is peel this back, because you're supposed to spray both sides and let it go tacky. that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to spray the wood, spray that, then I can lay this carpet down on there, and then that will get me started on getting this carpeted. I'm starting by just doing about 6 inches both sides, and I'm going to roll it over, flatten it down, and then turn it back over and do the rest. So now I'm ready to do this final piece. So this is going to give me more control and stop it from flapping around by gluing it a little bit. Also, once I'm ready to pull it down, I'm going to grab both corners and I'm going to pull them tight to get rid of all of these creases. So I'm going to spray this up now and get it done, and I'll show you how it looks. That's how it looks now. So I don't know how this bit got here. I think the wind blew it from somewhere. So it's always important to try and get rid of this. It's a bit of a messy job as well, so I'm going to cut that off there, but just trying to get rid of that. I haven't finished sort of flattening this out yet. I'm trying to get rid of all this overspray so it doesn't get blown in here. I've done it in the garden today because it was a bit windy, so I get a bit more protection. So I'm going to try and get that off now, and that's just all sawdust which is on there, because where I've been rolling it on this mat, it's picking up the sawdust. I had to come inside, so it started to rain. I'll make sure I put a dust sheet down because the glue sprays everywhere. So I've got this side done, so I'm going to go and grab another spray can. I knew I'd need 2 for this and only had just under 1. So I'm going to go grab that now and some other bits, and I'll get back to doing this. This bit's going to be a bit tricky. I haven't figured out quite yet how I'm going to do it. This is the face, so this is the most important part here, pretty much the top part. This corner will be seen from the passenger side, from the cab, sorry. So I'm probably going to make a cut here, which is behind the passenger seat. I'm going to fold this bit round first and then work out the rest of that. And the rest should be just easy, just to fold that back that way and then trim off any excess. Okay, so this panel has now been carpeted and fitted. I've only put 2 screws at the bottom. I'm debating on keeping this handle here. And again, I will have to put the ply up here so that the levels are the same. So this piece here will be fixed on by this handle, and then this ply will come up here, and I just need to build a piece for here, and then another piece that goes over here, I guess, and then the ply can finish against it or over it or whatever. Another job to think about another day. But for now, it doesn't matter if I don't have a fixing in there. It slots just behind this rubber seal, so we get a nice transition there. I've got 2 screws in at the bottom. Now I'm trying to design the bench. I've bought some extruded aluminium, so I'm going to obviously build 1 section there, 1 section here around this bit, and then I want to pull out shelf, which we're going to put a stove on. It's not going to be a shelf, it's going to be a drawer. The reason they're going to have it as a drawer is so that it protects against the wind, because when we was on the road, we had a small fold-out table, we put it out there, we had a gas stove, and then we used to boil the water out there just to avoid steam in the van. And like, we're camping, this is a camper van, you're on the road, you're camping, so you're going to make use of the outside, not just confine ourselves to this small space. So that's what I'm trying to do with this. And then there's going to be a pull-out bed here. Now, I don't know how I'm going to exactly do this pull-out bed yet, but the main thing yet is to build the opening for the pull-out bed and the structure for the bench, and that is what I'm working on now. So the first job obviously was the backboard. So yeah, I've basically just tucked it in behind this bulkhead, and I'm just going to use these screws like this to fix it on. I want to be able to make things removable if need be, just for servicing if we need be. Yeah, it's best to be able to remove stuff and get into it easily without having to destroy the van, just in case we need. So that's that. I'm gonna start cladding this side bit of wall here, I think, first. Just the height of the bench, I will just put a piece of board on there, and then we'll be ready for the framework. That will just finish inside the cupboard, basically, the board. My extruded aluminium come last night. I've made a start, cut the bottom rail. I have just marked out the back upright, so I'll go and cut that, and then from them I will make another exact 2 pieces. One will be the top rail and one will be the front upright. So I'm going to go do that now. I've screwed this board on here so I can sort of mark out where I need to position things. It's just a temporary board. It's sort of like a rod drawing. If you do joinery and stuff like that, you know what a rod drawing is. It's basically a 2D plan of what you're building. So you can mark all joints and stuff like that. Not there's any joints, it's all straight joints, and then they're sort of clipped together with the T-slot brackets. I've made this little jig to cut them. So basically, got 2 bits of wood there, spaced between this. I just put a piece of this in when I pushed them together. And then I obviously made sure this blade was parallel with this by putting this small piece of ply down here. And I pushed the saw against it so it was flat. So it means that now the blade is 1/2 inch away from this wood, but it's parallel with this wood. And once it was in position, like that, I screwed this piece on, so now it runs up and down here. And then I put on this piece on the other side. I put a bit of paper in between the runner and the saw blade so it didn't bind, so it's not going to move a lot to make it like sort of rub and jam up, but it's not going to go out of line as well, because it's going to run smoothly through there. And then it's just a bit deeper than the platform, so you can see this line here. And then I'll just pass this through here. I needed a new blade on this. I was debating to go and get another blade. I need a new one anyway, and it seems to be cutting okay, so it's going to kill my blade. I need a new one anyway. I just wanted to get on with this because I haven't had much opportunity recently because of the rain, and I'm actually having to do it down here because it's supposed to be a dry day, but it's not, so I'm getting this done. I've just done the cut. So I forgot to mention that if you do have a chop saw, it'd be easier. I do have one, but it's broken. The motor spins, and hear it start up and everything, but the blade just doesn't. The blade actually spins, but then when you try and cut it, it just stops. So I think the spindle connecting the two is normally friction welded, and that friction weld has broke. So there is some sort of contact in there, but as soon as it touches the wood, it just stops and it doesn't spin that fast. So I don't have time to mess around with it at the moment. I don't really use it that often because I use this a lot. I can cut straight with that, but it's difficult to try and cut this straight because it's such a small piece. And then I do have an angle grinder, but again, it's hard to get a perfect cut with the angle grinder. It's a bit of time setting this up, but now it's done, I could just keep cutting them. I do have to cut them with the angle grinder first because it won't go all the way through. I did debate on making this piece the other side, but yeah, it's just going to take longer and more fucking around, so I didn't bother. I thought I'd just cut them to rough length and then just trim them so they're square after. This is how I measure my pieces to cut. I've measured them and marked them, but sometimes trying to get exactly a cut on a line is not the best way to do it. You could sort of lose 1/2 millimetre here and there. So what I've done is I've put them through. So this is one I've already cut. It's touching the teeth on the blade, and I've just measured how far it sticks out. This is one of the base rails. So it's 257. If I cut 4 at 257, then there will be exactly the same. And I'll do the same with the uprights, which is they're the ones to be cut. And these are the ones that have been cut. So I'm going to put this one through. I've already done it actually. So it's 294. So I'm going to start getting these cut by using that technique. So I built my first 2 frames. So the way that these work is you have these little inserts which slide into the T-slot like that, and then we have these corner pieces and then a little bolt, so you get it like this. So it's pretty easy once you cut all your components to put them together. They do a lot of different fittings for these as well. They will just slide in. They do, these ones slide in from the end. They do one that you can drop in and turn it. And so obviously if you want to add something extra. And then they do internal corners, but I think these ones are stronger. So it's all going to be within the frame. So it doesn't matter. But if you want to have like a panel inside there and a nice neat finish, some people do it. Some people will clad over the framework and hide the framework, or some people will put it inside. So if you want to put it inside, then you can put your internal brackets which go in the runner, and they're hidden. But for me, I prefer these. They're stronger. It's going to be a bench, so I want it to be nice and strong. I've also put the bottom rail across the floor as the full length, and then the 2 uprights are loading down onto that. And again with the top is loading down onto these 2 points here. So it means that if I was to put this middle rail in the middle, it can't slide down. And again here, we can't press into the ground because this will now load out the weight across there, and my battens run across that way. So it's sitting on the back batten, as you can see it through that hole there, and then the batten is just under there at the end of it. So it's loading down into the battens and into the van floor. So that's the way I'm doing that, and now these are ready to sort of put in position. Before I advance with making this bench, I'm going to get the cladding done on this bit. I've made a start up here, and then I've put in this pattress because I want to fix the TV up here. So I know this section here, 3 boards down, and then it should be about 6 boards to the bottom. Where my TV goes. So now that's done, I can carry on with cladding, and then once it's done, we can start getting this bench built and fitted. So the cladding is now done. These 2 aren't nailed in. This one wasn't nailed in. This one was, but I had to sort of crowbar it out and pull it out because I need to. I've left a gap there for the ply to slide behind. But what I didn't consider was when making a template and scribing it to the ceiling, I'm going to need to make my board bigger. I'm going to use a bit of 5.5mm ply, so I need to sort of have about an inch or so there, so I can push the board in, oversize, and then scribe the ceiling, and I'll cut it until it fits, and then once that's done, I'll scribe the bottom. So I didn't think about that. So I've taken this board out anyway, you can see where I nailed it. So I'm going to get that done now, because I'm still waiting for parts for this bench. So I'm going to just get this ply on here, this lightweight ply, which is going to be the same front as the bench.